Howdy, my name is Sidney Mathews.
And I'm Sofia Castilla. Today we are presenting our movie assignment. This movie we watched, Catch Me If You Can, based on a true story by Steven Spielberg.
The movie's main character was Frank Abagnale Jr., a 16-year-old single child who grew up being close to his parents, especially his dad, in New York, in a rich setting. His family had suddenly become very poor and had to move to start over, leading to eventually having his parents divorce. With his dad staying in the current apartment and mom getting remarried into a richer setting, this put a strain on Frank, leading him to running away.
Frank's father had always been running from the IRS due to money problems. This led to Frank Jr. becoming an imposter and wanting to collect huge amounts of money to bring back to his family in hopes of bringing everyone together again.
Due to the large amounts of stress and pressure, having to constantly switch occupations and stay in character while on the spot, this caused a toll on his body and mind and made him truly believe that the identities and characters were a part of him and shaped who he was. The disorder portrayed in the film was dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorders, or DID. It is a disorder in which a patient is characterized by the presence of two or more distinct personality states. The disorder is often diagnosed due to a reaction to a traumatic event as a way to help a person avoid bad memories. The disorder would be considered and diagnosed in all cultures, although it is considered rare, having only fewer than 200,000 cases per year. There are thousands of opportunities for people to act or play a role as someone they're not. DID often had the stigma of the person shifting quickly from one personality trait to another and may be hard to communicate with and relate to since their mind continues to change perspectives quickly.
In Frank's personal life, what triggered the development of the disorder would be his parents' divorce. Because of this, he decided to run away from home and find an opportunity where he could make a large amount of money at a quick rate. From this, the other occupations he impersonated were developed either under the current setting, location he was in, or off of the personal relationships between others. Frank then was able to elaborate even more and pursue the characters and occupation at a more believable point of view. Although Frank never visited a therapist in the movie, he would be diagnosed with DID.
Two symptoms Frank displayed through the film included impulsivity and flashbacks. Once Frank had ran away and was living on his own, flashbacks of his parents having moments of being in love and happy together years before played slowly in his head, causing him to freeze up. For example, when he was looking in the mirror after finding out his father's passing, a flashback of his parents dancing in the living room replayed in his head, which caused him to act out and run away again. As far as for impulsivity, Frank often had to do things quickly on his feet to think and to get out of trouble in situations where he was close to being caught. This led to him changing personalities and perspectives at a fast rate. For example, when Frank first met Carl, he posed himself as a Secret Service agent to manipulate Carl into thinking it wasn't him so that he could escape the scene.
One symptom that Frank does not show is self-harm. Frank never tried to hurt himself throughout the movie, even though he would often run away and escape. In the end, he would always surrender and act calmly in situations with being taken into custody.
Our proposed treatment for Frank would be verbal therapy in the form of cognitive behavioral therapy, family therapy, or psychotherapy. These three options would give the therapist the chance to hear the patient's thoughts and allow him to open up. The goal would be to hear about how Frank plays the role and his reasonings. Since there is a variety of types of therapy, the therapist and the client could find a way to not only form a safe space, but also find a way communication works best.
Some ethical concerns about the treatment could include deciding whether the psychiatrist should tell a client directly what disorder they are diagnosed with, mentioning suicidal thoughts unless the client does, and/or hospitalization in the future could be an option. There are a variety of ways the client could react to these topics directly or indirectly. Another ethical concern could be if the therapist is able to create a safe environment or not. There are also situational, cultural, and societal barriers that could arise during treatment. Judgment could play a bigger factor in whether or not the person decides to receive treatment or even reach out to tell someone what they are thinking. Some cultures and societies could think that this type of disorder is made up and that the person is just searching for attention. As for situational barriers, the person suffering with the disorder may feel as if no one understands where they are coming from and their thoughts, so the chances of speaking up are minimal.
This disorder is accurately portrayed in the film. Oftentimes, the disorder is a reaction to trauma and to help a person avoid a bad experience, such as his parents' divorce and their loss of money. He reacted by changing his name, picking up multiple occupations to make lots of cash. With each occupation he obtained, Frank changes his background story and name to fit even more. The portrayal of DID in the film allowed us to see the process and how the ideas formed in his head to continue playing the roles and lifestyles. We weren't able to know exactly every thought of his, but it allowed us to see how quickly he adapted to his surroundings and new characters.
We thank you so much for listening and taking time out of your day. Thanks, and Giga. Good.